All right, what's going on, everybody, man? Happy Friday. So as you guys can see here, Charles Power officially released his true freshman All-American team. And let me give Charles Power credit, man. This is a phenomenal list, man. I thought he really nailed this list of how he had these kids rated. And I thought it was just, he did an outstanding job. And you could tell that he really knows sports and really knows how to rank not only like just the recruits in high school, but also college. Like, let's look at this list. All right, his true freshman offensive player of the year, Jeremiah Smith, without a doubt. Have you seen what he's been doing this year? Going up against elite competition, right? Being practically unguardable and unstoppable. Some of those one-handed catches he's had this year, like Jeremiah Smith is that dude. And if he was available to and he could, he'd probably be one of the top picks in the NFL draft this year. That's how good in the league he's been. So 100% he should be true freshman of the year. All right, also you got DJ Lagway. Now his numbers are not going to prove it, right? He's going to have to improve his completion percentage going into next year in some of those throws. But you talk about one of the more elite passers on the downfield throws, DJ Lagway accomplished that this year. I think he was number one in the nation as far as 20-plus yard throws and completing them. So a very big play guy. What he's going to have to improve is that short and intermediate. But I've told y'all, if y'all been on the channel, I've said I think DJ Lagway is up next. I think he's the next rising star in college football. That's how much trust and belief I have in the young kid. And obviously, he's doing a good job as far as recruiting. They tried to get Dallas Wilson. Unfortunately, wasn't able to. But they got some good guys that's coming in with this 2025 class, and I'm sure they're going to hit the portal as well. The future is bright in Gainesville, Florida, in the Gator country. Y'all should be excited, man, about DJ Lagway and what he's going to mean to your team. And y'all absolutely nailed this pick. And I think next year you're going to see him take that next step forward. 7-5, Florida finished strong, led into Tavares Dice, and obviously Lagons Hayward and Hilton Stubbs. Y'all should be excited, man, with this freshman quarterback coming back. DJ Lagway is the real deal. All right, next up, obviously, we're going to go with Isaac Brown, another standout player. I thought this year ran the ball well, over 1,000 yards, rushing 1,074 to be exact, 11 touchdowns. He had some big games for Louisville Cardinals this year, man. And unfortunately, it just was a very crowded room when you look at Louisville and what they did. But I like how they gave everybody time. They gave him time. Duke Watson, Keywan Brown, who unfortunately hit the transfer portal. But they gave a lot of guys time this year to show what you can do. And I did like that with what Louisville did. But it's just such a crowded room. But Isaac Brown's the real deal, man. And he's something to build on going forward with that offense. Next up, an underrated pick a lot of people don't know, but Ahmad Hardy. He was phenomenal this year for ULM, University of Louisiana Monroe. I mean, teams did not have an answer for him. Now, he rushed for 1,351 yards this year, 13 touchdowns. I mean, just great ability, 5.7 yards per rush. And I think one of his best games came against Arkansas State. He rushed for 204 yards and also 2 touchdowns, man. He was great in that one. So Ahmad Hardy, I mean, the real deal, man. And he's one to watch. I like that he was also included on this list. Next up, Ryan Williams and Cam Coleman. We'll put those two together. I mean, bro, both of them is phenomenal. We look at Cam Coleman and some of the catches he had this year, man, and the acrobatic plays that he was able to make. What we asked about Auburn is just finding the next quarterback. Now, they signed Deuce Knight, which is huge for them. They're probably going to hit a guy in the portal just for experience to come in there. And when Deuce Knight's time is ready, he's going to go in there and be the starter. But that's what we've been asking for with him, Malcolm Simmons, and every phenomenal piece that they got going forward. Auburn's going to be a team to watch, but they gotta connect on quarterback. But Cam Coleman, a sensational freshman season and a great debut for him. Next up, Ryan Williams leads Alabama in receiving yards, in catches, in touchdowns. Like, he was the best receiver on their team. They got to find something outside of him. That's the biggest question with Alabama going forward, getting guys. But they landed Derek Meadows, the 4-star receiver who was formerly committed to LSU. He's coming into this class. They also got Marshall Pritchett. So they got some guys coming in 25 that should help contribute and lessen the load for Ryan Williams in the sophomore season. But I just go back to that Georgia game, man. Game on the line, they're losing. He goes up and catches it acrobatically against a couple of Georgia defenders, outruns them all the way in for the touchdown. Ryan Williams is phenomenal. He's been great this year, man, and I'm super excited to see what his future is going to hold, man. Definitely should be on this list. All right, next up, let's go to offensive line. I want to hit on Tyler Mercer, who was an underrated player coming out of high school, 3-star prospect according to 247 Sports. He had a great year for North Texas. I really like his upside and what he's able to do. I thought he was great. The next up, Cash Cleveland, man. Being a true freshman and starting for that Colorado offense meant a lot, man. And that was one of the biggest improvements. Unfortunately, they're not going to get to a playoff, but when you look at everything and how good they were this year, he's one of the reasons why in the offensive line, not just him, but also Jordan Seaton is another one, and what he was doing at the left tackle position, right? He got better and better as the season wore on, and he became a staple left tackle for the Buffaloes. And I thought he did a phenomenal job all year of getting better. Now, he had a couple games where he stumbled a little bit, and as you will as a freshman. But both of those guys, man, just far as their footwork and being able to create lanes in a running game, being able to protect Shador, I thought said a lot about them. And that's one thing Deion's going to let you do. If you can play, you will play as a true freshman, man. So both of those guys definitely deserve to be on this list. Next up, Anthony Knapp, man, another phenomenal player. Came over from Roswell, man. And just soon as he went in, and you don't see this a lot, true freshmen being able to play at offensive lineman, but playing for a storied program and one of the best programs in the country ever in Notre Dame, he came in, had got early minutes, and then just continued. Started as a freshman, you know what I'm saying? But that's not easy to do to come from, but, you know, a school in Georgia, they usually have the guys prepared. But to be able to come in and start immediately for a storied program, that just speaks to him and be able to really dominate. And I got a chance to see him when they played Tech, and I was thoroughly impressed. Like, no defender was getting home to Riley Leonard. He was creating holes in the run game. He was moving well, getting to the second level. Another phenomenal player. Next up, Josiah Thompson, another standout offensive tackle. I thought this year had another really great year for South Carolina Gamecocks. He was phenomenal. And that another reason why South Carolina had a really good year and really good end to the season. Now, Caden Durham is a player that showed flashes this year. He got the nod as an AP for this list, and I thought he played good. He had 600 yards rushing, 6 touchdowns this year. I just wanted them to use him a little bit more. I think if LSU could have had a better running game, and it doesn't just fall on him, but using it more instead of always being pass happy, I think they would have had a better season. Now, they did win 7 games and things like that, but I think they should have used Durham a little bit more, and I think he showed you what he could do, not only running the ball, but also receiving. Next up, man, that South Carolina defense, man, Dylan Stewart. What a phenomenal year. 20 tackles he had this year, 15 solos. He had 3 forced fumbles, 6.5 sacks. Got better as the season wore on and really learned well early on. When you go and look at another standout player for them, Kyle Kennard, I'm sure he taught him some things as well, rushing off that edge. That dynamic duo was tough for defenses, or it's tough for offenses, I should say, and he was great this year. Colin Simmons is another one, man. Just what he's been able to do as a true freshman with Texas, and that's the reason why I'm taking Texas to beat Georgia. Just what his ability to rush the passer and how early on he's gotten it definitely speaks a lot to how good he is. Now, Kyron Duhan of UTEP was another standout player, I thought, as well. 7 sacks this year, 21 tackles, continued to come into his own for the Miners. I thought he had a pretty good season. The only one I don't agree with is Jaden Jackson, only 2 sacks this year. Thought he could have found a better, probably, impact player at the defensive line spot that really made a difference in an impact, in my humble opinion. But I get it, but I would have liked to see somebody else there. All right, Sammy Brown, without a doubt, he won ACC Rookie of the Year, had a phenomenal season for the Clemson Tigers. Got to get a little bit of a burn and shine as the season wore on. I think he had 10.5 tackles for loss this year. He was great. He's going to be a great linebacker, the next great one for Clemson. Obviously, you have Barrett Carter, but he'll be going after this year. But Sammy Brown is going to be a cornerstone piece. And as I told y'all last year when we were talking about players that can impact, Sammy Brown is one of them, and you're going to see that. Simeon Coleman is another one for Cincinnati that started to come on. 32 tackles he finished with this year, 14 solos. He also had a forced fumble. He was pretty good this year. One to continue to watch. Jay Crawford's another one. Now, when we look at PFF grades, he was another highly rated cornerback that continually just got graded high. And that Auburn secondary, I think, is going to be really good for years to come. We look at him and several of their other players that they're going to be playing with their pins ear back or their ears pinned back, and they're going to be able to play the ball well. And Jay Crawford has a high upside. Play here locally in Georgia at Parkview. He was phenomenal so far this year. I like what he was able to bring. Now, that Miami defense was not that good this year, but O.J. Frederick had a pretty good year, I thought. 7 PBUs, 21 tackles, and a pick. Had a lot of balls that could have been interceptions for him, man. And I thought he played really well, came on strong early on, and it's continued to have a really outstanding season. Eli Bowen is another one for Oklahoma. Had a really good season, 19 tackles this year, 4 PBUs, an interception. That interception was returned for 25 yards. I thought he was great as well. KJ Bolden, man, the year he had for Georgia, playing at the star position. And you see what he could do early on against Clemson, right? In a true freshman spot, came up big. I think due to either injury or suspension, he was asked to play a bigger role, and he came on. And Kirby Smart and that defensive coordinator has continued to trust KJ, playing the star role. He's continued to get more and more minutes, and it's gotten better and better and better. So he's going to be one to continue watching. He's kind of established himself as one of the better safeties, not only in the SEC, but could potentially be in the country. He's going to be one to watch going forward. Now, this dude right here, this Koa Perch, underrated, but, man, high upside, man. I think this kid could be an NFL safety. You know what I'm saying? 5 interceptions he had this year, man. One of the games against Penn State where they nearly knocked him off. He had 13 tackles in that game. You know what I'm saying? Perch, however you say it, he's gonna be one to watch. Koi is having a great year. I can't wait to see what he does next year, man. But that's my thoughts. Y'all comment below.